we'll record and hopefully get some more information out there later as well about this meeting. Small but important stuff, so we got this. But thank you so much for coming today, Pam. I guess we'll start right away. So my name is Alyssa. I'm working with the Student Experience Office to help bring these coffee and community talks, which is pretty sweet, actually. We get to speak with people all around the community doing amazing things, and sort of ask them questions about what they're doing and how students can get involved. And I love asking questions about how COVID has impacted as well too. I just find it interesting how different organizations and people are handling it too, and getting back to a place where they can work again. So are you good if we start off the interview?
Let's do it.
Perfect. So I just wanted to start off by having you tell us a bit about yourself and how you became involved with the St. John's Farmers Market.
When it came to me, I was involved with the market for a lot of years. So I've been kind of poking around this place, well, in the old place for, golly, probably 10 years or more. And I started off helping with one of the vendors. And then I started a role on the board of directors. And then the executive director position came up when we moved over here. And now here I am. So that's kind of how I ended up here. My background, ironically enough, is in social work. So it's been a very interesting adjustment to try to bring a lot of those social justice principles to a more business-related environment. But I think it's certainly blended well, and especially in a cooperative environment that we have, I think it's helped a lot.
Amazing. So could you tell us about what does a day in the life of the executive director look like for you?
Not usually on camera. Well, lately, I guess, on Zoom meetings, but the market itself is a whole bunch of different people working as a team. So we have our folks on the ground that are doing the market day support stuff, that are doing, the cleaning, this extra sanitizing, all of those things. We have our more senior staff. So we have a market manager that manages all of the logistics when it comes to market day itself. We have our admin person who handles a lot of the paperwork, the invoicing, a lot of the documentation and inquiries. We have a full-time custodian here, and we have me. So what I do is kind of the bigger picture overview kind of stuff. The grant applications, the funding support, the strategic stuff, looking ahead to try to see where we can be in 6 months to a year from now, what things would need to be in place. So a lot of the bigger picture stuff is kind of the stuff that falls at my desk. The complicated stuff also falls at my desk too.
Those decisions that you don't really want to make, but you sort of have to make always tends to be those things. Amazing.
Yeah, it's the stuff that, usually lands me on the news sometimes, but it's always done with an approach to collaboration, and you're never gonna see me get down and dirty in the news calling anybody out. That's not the way we work. But we want people to really understand the way that the market operates, and it's a little bit different than regular business because we are a nonprofit.
Amazing. And I love that your background's in social work as well. I find that very interesting, but it must also sort of help. How do you tie those social justice type of learnings into the market? Because I know that the market does support a lot of different community groups as well. So how do you sort of tie in that social work background with the market?
It's been super interesting because, if anybody's ever been to the market, we have such a culturally diverse market, and a lot of times people are coming in and they're not really sure what to expect. They're presented with food that they have no recognition of or familiarity of, and trying to make that a very normalized thing where we are all working together. This is the new face of St. John's and Newfoundland. We have become such a diverse and multicultural society, and I think it's really important for folks who maybe have not as had much experience or exposure to some of the multiple varying cultural groups that we have within the city. This is a really great opportunity to do so. The other side of it is we provide not just a space for vendors who are coming in who might not be from this country originally and don't really know the norms and the community connections. We provide the connections between people so that people are coming and finding that sense of community that they maybe have not have been able to find. We are also super duper inclusive here. It's one of the fundamental things. I mean, when we built this building, it was with an intention to make this place as diverse, as inclusive, and as accommodating to as many people as humanly possible. So we are fully accessible. All our washrooms are gender neutral. They are all individual washrooms. We do several events that promote multiculturalism. We've got the Tombolo Festival coming this Sunday. So if anybody's out and about this Sunday, pop down. On July 30th, we have Queer Market again. So it's our third year doing Queer Market, which gets to highlight some of the really incredible skills and talents of folks within the queer community in St. John's. So we're just delighted to be able to be that, I guess, coming together place where people can really find their own community and learn all sorts of new things.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like accessibility is a very hot topic in St. John's lately, especially with the Water Street pedestrian mall and stuff like that. But it's nice to hear of places that are taking this into their core when they're created, instead of more of an afterthought. So I know a lot of people really respect that accessibility piece too, especially from within MUN and students that may have varying accessibility needs. So yeah, that's amazing. And you were touching on it already, but I was going to ask you, what are some events happening lately at the farmers market? What can we look forward to? Because I know there's so many.
It's been a weird spring,
Yes.
let's just say. I mean, we started out being buried in snow, of course, through Snowmageddon. So we were shut down for a couple of weeks, and we had the most incredible show of support after Snowmageddon, where folks came, brought shovels, shoveled us out because we were unable to get part of our building cleared in time. And we're just so supportive of everything that we did. And so we got right back on our feet again. And then a pandemic hit. And so we had about a month in between Snowmageddon and the middle of March. And so then we shut down again because for public safety reasons, for just the safety of our vendors, our staff, the community, we just couldn't. We wanted to make sure that if we were open, we were doing it within very, very proper guidelines and following all the protocols that we needed. So we took a break for 3 months, I guess. Yeah, 3 months. And then we came back, and it looks different. It is a little bit of a different atmosphere because it has to be, but we're open again, and it's just been a really rewarding thing. We've got a lot of people who they rely on this place for their income. We have so many of our vendors that this is their only source of business, and we want to, respect and celebrate that and be able to give them the opportunity that they need to be able to actually create a living for themselves. So when we reopened, there was a lot of different changes, but we're now kind of getting into the groove of things again. Last Saturday was pretty awesome, and the sun was shining, and there's vendors outside and there's vendors inside, and people were starting to, I guess, get a little more comfortable with the new rules and the new restrictions. So bit by bit, we're seeing things come back to, as normal as they can be. So like I said, we do have the Tombolo International Market here this coming Sunday. And that'll be featuring vendors from all over the world with lots of different countries and different cultural origins, including food and arts and crafts and all sorts of things like that. We've been going every single Saturday, and now we've started every Sunday as well. So coming up in a couple of weeks, we're kind of doing something pretty special with our Sundays. We're going to be starting a pop-up brunch menu. So that's you've heard it here first, because we haven't even advertised that yet. So what's going to happen is we'll be featuring one particular vendor each week that will do something completely off their regular menu. That'll be specific for brunch, and will be a pretty special meal. So we're pretty excited about that. We've also got, like I said, Queer Market happening on July 30th. So if anybody still wants to apply, there's still time to apply. And we're stoked because Queer Market's always been just this really fun time. We bring in artists and food and all sorts of goodness from all over the place, that are featured and driven by folks within the queer community. And it's really special to be able to offer that venue and to be able to feature just some of the incredible talent that exists within this city. So we're pretty stoked about that. And every Wednesday we have the Hump Day Market, which is run by two of our vendors. And so they've been having some pretty awesome stuff too. I know this coming Wednesday, which is tomorrow, they are going to be having Ordinary Spokes here doing bicycle tune-ups. So there's kind of neat things going on, and we're hoping for more little neat things just to make this as much of a community hub as it used to be, while still maintaining all of the restrictions that we have too.
Yeah, life is definitely a little different now, trying to navigate everything too. So I haven't been in the farmers market personally since prior to COVID, but could you walk us through a few of those changes? So if you were to walk into the farmer market now, as opposed to, let's say, 6 months ago, would there be anything like drastically new that you'd see, or different regulations that you might have to abide by?
Sure thing. So when you walk into the market now, you'll find that you can only walk in through one door. So we have one specific entrance. We have two other doors that are specifically exit only. We have one-way pathways. So instead of being able to kind of meander back and forth, you're kind of got to go one way and go around the loops, and that's fine. And you can loop back around again. But it is all just to make sure that people are not getting within too close of a proximity to each other. The other thing that we've had to do is to put a cap on our capacity. So if you've ever been to the market on a bright sunny Saturday in the summer and the place is hopping, it's not quite that anymore. The lineup outside might be hopping, but we do have caps on the amount of people that we can have inside. The other thing that we had restricted for a while is that we had no in-market dining area. We are going to be bringing that one back, socially distanced, of course. Plus, we've got lots of seating outside for folks as well. But we realized pretty quickly that we didn't have enough space to space out our vendors to abide by all the rules without taking out the cafe. But now we've made some wiggly changes again, and now we are able to do that. So we've brought back the cafe again so people can actually sit and linger and enjoy themselves for a little bit longer. And that brings back the whole community vibe of it a lot.
Yeah, I remember going there and it'd be hard to find a table to sit down because so many people
No
were just
kidding.
like coming with a billion plates and they were trying something from everywhere. And then you'd have whole families and friend groups. So that's exciting that that could come back. It sort of feels like you're eating with everyone there. When you sit down and you have some nice home cooked meal that you have no clue what it's going to taste like, but you're excited nonetheless. So that's exciting that we're starting to get back to a new normal. Yeah.
Hopefully, and hopefully, if we are able to maintain our record so far, that maybe even those restrictions might loosen up a little bit more. But we'll see. We'll have to ask. We'll have to ask the powers that be that question. But we are very fortunate in that early on, when we were still in level 4 alert, the government and public health deemed the market as an essential service because we sell food. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing that properly and correctly and safely. So even if, heaven forbid, we ever do get back up to a state of level 3 or level 4 or level 5 again, the market can still stay open, which means that a lot of the vendors that rely on this place for their business and a lot of customers that rely on this place for fresh and local and culturally diverse food will still be able to access that in a very safe environment. So we're pretty stoked about that thing too.
Amazing. That's so exciting too, just to have that be a staple there. That's amazing. So in terms of students, how can students get involved? Because I know you guys have some volunteer capacities, some jobs, and even vendor roles. Because I know a lot of small businesses have popped up, especially among students since COVID. I've seen some really nice earring businesses, some art prints for sale. So how can students best get involved with the St. John's Farmers Market?
So there's a few different ways, and it depends on what a student is looking for. So we've just opened applications again now. So we only do it usually only about once a year for new vendors. So if a student had a particular skill or art or craft that they wanted to bring to market, then they could apply to become a vendor. So that would be one way of coming here and being a part of the community. Another way might be, we always have a lot of our vendors that are looking for support. A lot of times they're so busy that they can't be there all the time. So often we have vendors that are looking for temp staff, just one-off staff, that kind of thing. And we're happy that if anybody's ever interested, just to let us know, and we can pass the names out through all the vendor network. And if anybody's looking for somebody, then that would certainly get to them. We just recently, and we kind of on an ongoing basis, hire casual call-in folks. So when we have events and markets and all of those things, we need people, and our people are super valuable to us. So we keep a casual call-in list, and when we have events coming up, we put people on the list, and if they can't make it, that's totally okay. We just go to the next person on the list. So there's no real obligation and commitment per se, but if you are available, then awesome, more the better. The other very important piece that we've had to suspend for the last little bit, but we'll be bringing back again very soon, is our volunteer program. So back before COVID, we had a really robust volunteer program here. So we would have volunteers during every single market. They would be at the front door. They would be greeting folks as they were coming in. They would kind of handle the merchandise booth. They would make sure that folks in the cafe were, had water available and nice clean tables and things like that. And they were just there to, I guess, pitch in and be a really vibrant and enthusiastic part of the market. And then COVID hit. And so we had to kind of put that on hold for a moment or two, because one of the regulations that we have to follow is to have somebody appointed to each one of our doors to do counts and capacity and really kind of staff related stuff. And one of the things that I'm very committed to here is not having volunteers here doing things that I'm paying staff for, because that's not very fair. So we try to keep it very different from what staff roles are, which left us with a bit of a puzzle as to what we could do then in terms of supporting volunteers and supporting folks who wanted to be part of this community, but not in a paid or employment way. And so what we've done, we've actually just put out an ad yesterday for a volunteer and activities coordinator. And what that person is going to be tasked with is trying to figure out what really kind of meaningful things that volunteers can do to support the market, to have fun at the market, to really be a part of this community while still being able to be safe. We don't ever want anybody to feel like they're at risk or putting themselves at risk to help the market. So that could include anything from, you know, leading activities that we have here at the market in a very safe way. So every week we have yoga, we have hooping, but there could be volunteers and there could be students who have other neat things and other neat skills that they could bring to the table that we would be able to offer and show. And we could do that in a distanced way where everybody feels safe and comfortable. We could have all sorts of different, you know, events and activities within the confines of the space and the distancing. But there's lots of different things that people have wonderful skills that, you know, we'd love to bring to market. We'd love for people to be able to experience. There's also, I guess, one of the things that we're looking at is how to incorporate volunteers again back into the day-to-day routine of the market. And do so safely. So we want to be able to really have a good feel for what we're doing before we kind of open it wide and go unprepared. So yeah, so that's where we're at. It's coming. And if anybody is interested in being a part of that, absolutely. We also have a newsletter that we're trying to start up. And if anybody is a writer or a photographer or journalism, you know, is in their veins, then absolutely we would love to talk to them, and they could certainly be part of that too. So there's lots of stuff.
Lots of small things happening. It sounds super interesting. So for volunteering, what would it look like for students? Would it be, I'm guessing mostly in the afternoons and weekends, like pretty accessible to the student, typical student hours. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for volunteering, it would probably be on the weekends, so Saturday, Sundays. If there was something else that was happening outside of that, say it was, I don't know, some sort of work from homey type thing, then, you know, that could be done remotely. So there may be things that even for folks who are uncomfortable being out and about just yet, we may still have opportunity for people to do some remote work. So there's lots of different things, and we're really open to talking with people to say, what are you interested in? Because there may be things that people might have ideas about that would fit in here exceptionally well that we've never even thought about before. So we're very open to hearing what people have to say and how they'd like to be involved.
Amazing. Yeah, that flexibility is really vital for students, I find. I know even myself, like looking for volunteer opportunities, it's hard committing, say, like a full Monday and Tuesday every week, or even just times during the weekdays is a little bit harder, especially with class schedules and now even online classes. Like, I don't even get me started on online classes, but but I love that flexibility is really important, and just sort of like that willingness to incorporate unique and new ideas, or students that maybe have some type of a really cool plan that they want to bring forward. I feel like a lot of students can definitely really respect that, and are definitely thankful for that openness. So that brings me to my next question is, what kind of advice would you give to students wanting to start maybe a small business, or looking to become a vendor, or sort of get themselves out there in the world?
I think the very first thing to do is to come talk with us. So I'll back up a little bit, because there's a lot of markets, and there's a lot of really wonderful and interesting markets right across this province right now. So you don't have to be in St. John's to be part of a really cool market. And, you know, people should be really thinking in terms of how diverse things are right across the province. If people are interested in starting up a small business and don't really know where to begin, it kind of depends on the idea that they have. So if they want to cook, if they want something food related, they probably should be talking to the environmental health folks, so food inspectors. If someone's looking at doing something that's more artisanal and crafty and things like that, they should just talk with the markets themselves and whomever they want to be part of. If anybody has questions about any of it, I mean, we're here as a resource, and you know, no matter where people go, I'm happy to provide the information. It delights me greatly to see youth and young people becoming entrepreneurs and becoming, you know, their own social enterprise building and their own all sorts of really cool, fantastic ideas. And I've been fortunate to be part of, say, the Enterprise Olympics for a couple of years, and a lot of kind of programs like that with high school students. And the ideas are fabulous. Like, oh my goodness. So I have no doubt the university students are equally as fabulous. So there's a lot of really new and innovative things that are coming out of you know, a younger generation that folks have never even considered before. And that's exciting. And you know, golly, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to foster that and make those connections for people that they might not even know. So anytime anybody has an idea, they want to pitch it, they want just to pick it apart, if they're wondering about what to do first, just, yeah, give us a call. Give me a call. Pop me an email. I'm happy to do so.
I feel like there's also a ton of online resources or even vendors currently at the market that I've spoken to personally that are so passionate and they just want to tell you everything and how to start and how to be there. So
They really
it is a very welcoming and caring environment, which I think definitely helps out a lot. And amazing. Thank you.
It's super cool, right? Because if somebody comes in and they see somebody who's doing something kind of like what they'd like to do, people are happy to share. People are happy to say, yeah, this is how I did this. This is how I got here. This is how, you know, this is the path that you should look at. And people have been very open about, you know, sharing resources and sharing connections and just becoming that really supportive community. And yeah, if you don't know which vendor might be doing something that is similar to yours, well, that's where we can come in, because we've connected people before who say, yeah, I have this really great idea about, I don't know, watercolor paints, and I don't really know how, whatever. We can connect them with folks that are in that industry and are able to offer some really sage advice as to, you know, what the best direction to take might be.
Yep, I find that it's not really a competitive market. It's more of people trying to help each other out. So you don't have to really be scared of being like, hey, how did you do this? They're not going to keep their industry secrets from you. You know what I mean? Like it definitely doesn't seem like that at all.
You have more chance of wondering if they're ever going to not stop talking about them. People love to talk about what they do and what they love. I mean, we all get really passionate about certain things, and we could talk on forever and ever and ever. So when you find somebody who shares those things, of course you're excited, of course you want to share. And that's the really beautiful thing of this community that we've built here.
Amazing. Perfect. Well, unfortunately, we're coming up to my last question, but thank you so much for being here today and responding and being super receptive to emails and questions and just having a really nice conversation. So I just wanted to give you a big thank you, especially from myself and the Student Experience Office, and we'll definitely be sharing this in future information as well. But my final question is, how can people find out more about the farmers market and events and what you guys are doing, what are some of your main platforms and ways to respond to information?
So we're all over social media. We have a fairly significant following on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and shout out to Charlie Murphy, who handles all of that for us. And we have our website, which is www.sjfm.ca. But a lot of what you're going to find, you'll find us on social media for the up to the moment stuff. We are fairly easy to contact in terms of email as well. So info@sjfm.ca is the way to get to us. Unless you're looking for me personally, and it's ed@sjfm.ca. So I get email all the time that says Dear Ed, but it actually stands for Executive Director. But that's okay. I don't mind. It just makes me laugh. And we are very receptive to any and all inquiries. So our main number here at the office as well is 221-7536. So it's 221-SJFM. And we are generally in the office from Wednesday to Sunday, but some of us overlap. So it's kind of weird because we work weekends. So some of us take Sunday, Monday as a weekend. Some of us take Monday, Tuesday as a weekend. So it's, but there's usually somebody around.
So you could basically be found anywhere, really.
We can be found all over the place, yeah. We get a lot of our inquiries through, say, Facebook Messenger or email, usually.
Amazing. That's great to know. Well, thank you so much for letting me have the privilege to interview you. I think someone sent a message to the chat briefly. Someone said, thank you so much, Pam. Which days are the brunch happening? I know you mentioned they're happening each week.
It's going to be Sunday, so during Sunday markets. And it won't be this Sunday, but it will be starting the Sunday after. So we'll be going live with that probably tomorrow. So you guys get to hear it before anybody else. But we're going to be having a featured brunch chef each week, and they'll be doing something that's completely off their regular menu, and hopefully we'll have a really neat experience that people can come and discover something by somebody that they really like, but something they've never tried before. So it's fun. We're looking forward to it.
And everyone likes brunch. I don't know one person that doesn't like brunch.
Exactly.
Perfect. So Catherine said thanks for that answer. But yeah, thank you so much for coming today and for the information that you were able to provide to students and us. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And like I said, if anybody has any follow-up questions, they can just pop us up an email anytime.
Amazing. And thank you to anyone listening in or in the future listening in when this is posted. And yeah, we'll definitely see you next Tuesday for our next Coffee and Community. Thanks, Pam.
Welcome.
Bye.
Bye.